Let's talk about social media. If you're just getting your business started, how much time and effort should you put into it? What role should social media play in your business, and where should you start? In this video, 3 expert marketers are answering these questions and more, and it's coming right up.
So today's conversation is going to be about social media, and I wanted us to get started with one question that I'm going to be throwing over to you guys, Christine and Matt. Put yourself in the context as if you're a small business owner, you're just literally just getting started. How much of your time and resources would you actually invest into growing a social media presence, whether it's Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, you name it? Matt?
All right, I definitely have some thoughts on this. And obviously, I think we all have our different social media biases depending on our age range or what type of business we're trying to build and the type of content we're creating. So I've always been a fan of YouTube. I've always been a fan of long form content. Because I feel like it's easier to build a stronger connection with the audience you're trying to grow, build stronger relationships and trust. And I've not really gone deep into shorter form social media platforms like Instagram, definitely not TikTok, but it's not to say someone shouldn't. What I definitely think is that social media should always be undertaken with a lot of thought ahead of time before you jump into a platform. And that's because it takes so much time and effort to create content and consistently and create good content for a particular platform. You're really taking on a job when you decide to build a presence on a social media platform. And so you should have a lot of thought ahead of time in terms of which platform you're going to use, which platform makes the most sense for your business and the audience you're trying to build. And then we always say, don't build your business on somebody else's platform. I think the recent craziness going around at Twitter really shows this, because who would have predicted 6 months ago that the world's richest person would buy an entire platform and that the future of that platform is really in jeopardy now? I mean, people are doing RIP Twitter, like if Twitter goes down, here's where to find me. Like most people with serious Twitter presences are having to kind of have a plan B now, because tomorrow Twitter could go down and they're starting over from scratch on a new platform or on a platforms they don't have as strong a presence on. So that's why we always say, like, build your business on your own platform first, which is essentially your website and your mailing list. And then use social media platforms strategically to help give your business additional reach. And for me, that's like YouTube. I really like YouTube for the long form content. If you're doing short form content, YouTube's really trying to compete with Instagram and Twitter now with Shorts. And it's a really strong search engine. So I guess my bias is towards platforms like YouTube. But if you're kind of the younger generation or you want to reach a younger audience, like obviously you probably need to think about those short form content platforms, because that's probably more where your audience is. So all of that is to say, though, it has to be very strategic, because you're committing to a lot of work with any given platform, and you don't want to commit to that willy-nilly, you know what I mean? So I guess that's my initial thoughts on that.
All right, but so just to summarize it, Matt, from 1 to 10, as a small business owner who's just getting started, you're thinking about building out your website, you're thinking about ways into maybe build out an email list. From 1 to 10, how important would social media be to you?
Honestly, I would say,
and I guess
it's one of the... No, go ahead, Tony. What were you going to say?
I was just going to say, I guess it really depends on what niche you're in and what type of business you're trying to set up, right? But from a broad spectrum, let's just say that you're trying to sell, I don't know, maybe you're trying to sell t-shirts How important would social media be to you?
Honestly, it's one of the lowest lever things, especially in the beginning. So it wouldn't be so important. It's not something I would totally neglect, but I would definitely put priority on building up my website, making sure all of my lead generation funnels are in place so that when I do start getting some traction on social media, I can direct those people to my platform, to my mailing list, so I have control over my mailing list, and I want to use social media as a boost for those things, but not as the primary driver. And it's so unpredictable. I mean, you're really competing in super competitive spaces on social media, so you can put a lot of effort into social media without seeing a lot of traction, especially in the beginning. So in that sense, I would kind of keep it low priority and focus on these other fundamentals first. And then when those things are in place, I have my website, I have my lead generation funnel, I have a sales funnel and a product to sell. Then I would start to increase the priority of social media to try and grow my reach that way. So I guess that's kind of my thinking behind it.
So Matt, so it sounds a lot like from a 1 to 10, I can probably put social media on a 3 or 4 to you. Like it's not something that you would personally neglect, but it's also not on the priority list.
Yeah. It's something you need to focus on. Obviously, you want to start building that audience, but there's more important fundamentals to focus on first. So I think a 3 or a 4 out of 10 would be a good way to put it, in my opinion.
Gotcha. All right. Christine, what about you? Let's just assume that you're selling t-shirts. How important from 1 to 10 would you rate social media on your priority list of things that you should concentrate on if you're trying to start up this business, this merchandise business or something?
So I'm going to say that it's actually pretty important if you have a funnel or a strategy that you already have in mind. If what you're doing is you have a product and you're just going to post it on social media, and then you have another product and all you do is just post it, or you just write a blog post and that's all you're going to do, then it's probably not a strategic way to use social media. You probably won't get as many sales as you would if you put together an entire marketing funnel and planned everything out from A to Z. So once you plan everything out from A to Z, then I think social media becomes incredibly important. But I think that's actually completely in line with what Matt just said. It's first, obviously you need to get your website together. Your website really should be the hub of all of your business activity. You don't want to build your entire business just on Facebook or just on YouTube and then neglect having your own website. So it is incredibly important to start your website first. But once all that's done, and once you do have your marketing funnels in place, then I think social media becomes super, super, super important. That said, I actually do think it is possible to just put together a very, very quick website and just spend like an hour putting something super basic together. And then once that's done, then you just spend all of your time on social media and putting those funnels together and putting your email list and your sales page and all of that, and really getting that funnel down. Just my opinion.
So from 1 to 10, sounds like maybe like a...
I would say it starts like, it's at about a 3 or 4 for about like a day or 2 while you get your stuff together, and then it becomes like an 8. But that's assuming that you're not spending a whole lot of time on your website. You're just like, oh, I got to get up and running quick.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So,
I guess that is the rapid implementation sort of perspective. And then I guess it depends what type of content you're creating, and because more and more content is going video. I guess in that way, it does mean social media is becoming more and more important because they are the video hosts of 2023 and beyond. So yeah, I guess you do need to focus on creating engaging content that's both highly valuable and both entertaining. It seems like you can't just be pure value. You need to have some sort of entertainment factor to compete, especially in the social media space. So you need to build that skill up. And I guess to your point, Christine, that would start ramping up the social media importance after you get those fundamentals in place.
Yeah, and there's a few different ways to use social media. I mean, you could just post daily and just build up your brand awareness and to stay top of mind, and that is good. I don't want to say that it's, you know, I don't want to say that there's no value in that, because there certainly is, but it also kind of depends on, like, well, which platform are you talking about? If you're just posting every day on Facebook, you're probably not going to get that much reach. You're probably going to get more reach on Instagram if you're posting every day. You're probably going to get even more reach if you post on TikTok every day. So it really kind of depends on which social media platform you're choosing. And then there's also the community aspect. So Facebook has a great community aspect because of the Facebook groups. And if you already have a business, you can start a Facebook group and you can have all of your customers go in that group and they can get support. Not necessarily technical support, but you can get peer support. Whereas other platforms don't really have that. So it kind of depends on what your business needs and what your customers need.
So let me ask you guys another question before I chip in with my 2 cents. It sounds like you've both covered the importance of using social media as a means to an end, right? Which is actually using it to build up your business. But how would you guys actually use social media? Christine, you touched a little bit on maybe consider, posting daily to build up a little bit of brand awareness. How would you guys actually personally use social media if it's something that you guys are considering to get more reach and exposure for your business? Because correct me if I'm wrong, but you both mentioned that it's not the most important thing to do when you're first starting out, concentrating on social media, but it is something that you can't completely ignore anymore. But how would you use it eventually? Christine, after that first day of setting up your website, what happens on day 2 when you're actually ready to start using social media? How would you actually use it?
I think it depends on your business. Like, for example, I have a friend who has a yogurt shop. She posts on Instagram and she very quickly grew to 5,000 followers because she was doing like contests and she was posting pictures of, her brand is very well suited for Instagram, which is picture heavy. But if you're something like a coach and you're maybe doing a little more teaching and maybe there aren't things that you can photograph easily except for maybe yourself, then I would say probably something like YouTube or something more video based. Now, Instagram, you can post videos. I don't know. I kind of feel like those aren't as searchable. So if you have searchable content, then YouTube's probably better. And then there's TikTok, which, I don't really have a lot of experience with TikTok, but yeah, that's going really big too. So if you have something that maybe like short videos would probably do really well on TikTok.
What about you, Matt? How would you actually use social media to as a means to an end, which is to actually grow your business?
Well, I think for, most people who are getting started in the online space, you're probably going to be doing something in the information, like becoming like a niche authority and teaching something, or basically being somebody who people trust your opinion on things. And so there, what I find is YouTube is very strong. So making content and becoming basically a micro influencer on YouTube can be a very good thing for your online business, because if you can crack the code on making valuable, entertaining, engaging content there, people will follow you, subscribe to you, and follow you, see all your videos coming out. And I don't really think about YouTube in terms of like the AdSense money you can make, especially for a micro influencer. More so, it's that if you create an online course, you're going to have an audience of people who want to buy that thing, or if you even like sell a book on Amazon or something like that, or even if you recommend products, because it's coming from a really authentic place and people trust you and like the way you present information and stuff. When you pitch a product, people are going to be likely, at least some segment of the audience is like, yeah, okay, I want that. I think that's going to help me. So that's kind of, I guess, when I think about social media in terms of an online business, and especially for people new to building an online business, I'm thinking more in terms of that becoming a micro influencer, being some kind of, I guess the term now is infopreneur, and building that micro audience where if you build your own informational content, whether it's an online course, whether it's a book, whether it's promoting products, building partnerships with other companies and recommending their products, like that's the best bang for your buck that I see social media as, which then puts me back in my biased sort of YouTube zone. But even in YouTube, people are making, shorts, like short content videos. There's YouTube Shorts, which can double up for Instagram, which could probably double up for TikTok. So then you could repurpose the same content across multiple platforms there. And one thing, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I'm noticing Instagram is actually moving away from being a dominant picture platform to actually being a short video platform, because at least what I've seen with the Instagram accounts I'm following, like the pictures don't get much engagement. The reels are getting all the engagement. So even on that platform, things are changing, and I guess it goes back to like video being kind of the dominant form of content now.
Yeah, I have heard that
sure.
Instagram is prioritizing short form content, like the short videos.
Yeah, of course they are. I mean, TikTok came along and they totally disrupted the social media space. And so they had to kind of like copycat and try to do the same thing that TikTok was doing. So what you were talking about, Matt, actually leads in perfectly to chip in with my 2 cents. So I want to talk about a product that we actually sell here at Thrive Themes that totally transformed the way in which I saw and perceived social media, which is a course that we have here at Thrive Themes. It's called Build an Audience from Scratch. And if you're watching this video, you may be thinking, oh, this guy here, he works at Thrive Themes, so of course he wants to promote a course by Thrive Themes. But I actually took this course when I was a Thrive Themes customer and I was not working here at Thrive Themes. And it totally transformed my way in which I perceive social media. I strongly encourage you to check it out. It's called Build an Audience from Scratch. And in that course, Shane actually talks about how most people who start trying to build up an audience on social media get burnt out and they just totally quit after X amount of months, because number one, they don't see their followers number increasing that much. They don't see the engagement increasing that much. And that is because number one, we have unrealistic expectations of how do we actually get into social media, which is wanting to become the next big thing, the next big influencer in whatever space you're an expert at, which is the biggest mistake you can probably make when you're starting to create content online. You can't go into YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, whatever space you're looking at getting into, thinking that you're going to be the next big, I don't know, Mr. Beast, or the next big, whatever big influencer you're thinking about. You're not going to be Jimmy Fallon. I mean, it's just not going to happen. Statistically speaking, it's very unlikely that you're ever going to get 1 million followers. And the way in which this course actually transformed my point of view was that you don't need those 1 million followers. You really don't need them. The whole point of creating content online should be about building an audience. And building an audience is not the same thing as actually gaining followers. An audience is building up a list of people that actually have an interest in what you have to say. And that list may very well be of just 50 people. And if those 50 people are willing to give you $100 a month for whatever product you're putting out there, that is a $5,000 a month business that you've got going on right there with 50 people. And Thrive Themes is actually a great example of that, of how you can take a small audience of people and by offering them good content, good products. You can have I mean, come on, Thrive Themes is a multi-million-dollar company, and we don't have a huge audience. We have a few thousand followers on Instagram, some following on YouTube, which is mostly just made up of customers, and some following on Facebook. But we're not big influencers. We have great products, and we put out some good content out there that people every now and then like to consume, but we're not big influencers in any way. So we're not using social media as a way to become influencers. We're using it as a means to an end. So yes, I'm not sure if I actually explained myself properly, but highly encourage you guys to check out Build an Audience from Scratch by Shane here at Thrive Themes.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. As you said, we don't have a huge following on really any platform, but what we do is we use social media strategically, and that is also what we recommend for our audience watching to do. So let's say that you have a launch coming up. Let's say that you have a product that you want to sell. You can certainly post on social media, hey, go buy my product. But another thing that we do is we plan out what we're going to be posting on social media to coincide with the product that we're going to be selling. So whether it's posts, sometimes it's lead magnets, sometimes it's paid ads, but all of that is supposed to be strategic in selling an actual product. And that's how you're successful on social media. It's not just about a follower count or a subscriber count.
Yeah, and I think it just goes to show that we're in the golden age of micro-influencers. So you actually don't want to set your sights to becoming a big celebrity, because actually people don't have trust in the big celebrities anymore, because they know they're just doing big sponsorship deals. They're not actually necessarily being authentic to themselves and what they think in terms of the products they do promote. But micro-influencers, that's who people trust now. So if you can get somewhere in the, let's say for YouTube, 1,000 to 100,000 sort of followers range, which is very doable, I think, especially if you are making really valuable content people are eager to consume, then there's going to be some opportunities to promote your own products or partnership products, just as long as you stay true to your voice and you're not letting these product promotions or partnerships change that. Because remember, people are following you because of the way you present information, the opinions you have. So just make sure, especially as we go into 2023 and beyond, you stay authentic to yourself. If you do partnerships, stay unscripted, promote the way you would just any other awesome thing you find. I think that's going to be really important, because people are actually turning off to the biggest sort of voices in the space, because they know it's become a pretty commercialized, almost tit for tat style promotional space.
So I have a question for you, Matt. You mentioned 1,000 to 100,000 following. Now, for someone that's just getting started, 1,000 followers may seem like a very big milestone. I mean, it's not. I wouldn't necessarily say that it's super. Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say it's super simple to get 1,000 followers. So how would you, or what would you tell someone that's literally just getting started on YouTube or Instagram? Okay, I'm gonna set myself a goal of having 1,000 true fans. 1,000 people that truly appreciate the content that I'm putting out there and my products and my business. How would you encourage someone to not get burnt out while doing so, while trying to get those 1,000 true fans?
Look, I'm not saying it's simple. I'm not trying to say it's simple, but 1,000 followers is definitely achievable. Where 1 million followers, that's, you're going to have to be working a long time and almost be in a niche like tech product reviews, where that sort of number count is even possible. So I'm not saying 1,000 is simple, but it's definitely achievable. So setting your sights there is a good place to start. And then I think, look, you need to be consistent with anything on social media. You need to be consistent. That's just what you're signing up for when you do social media. You need to create content consistently. But that's also good, because you're probably not going to be very skilled at it when you start, and just accept that. Like, I'm not going to be good at making videos when I start my YouTube channel, but the consistency of really showing up to make a video and publishing whatever frequency you commit to is going to make you get better at videos. You're going to get more creative at it. You're going to have ideas come up. You're going to end up doing things that are interesting and entertaining. You're going to need to look for interesting topics in your niche for your audience to even talk about. So I would say what you should really set your sights on is pick a frequency you can commit to and make it an achievable goal. Don't make it something crazy like I'm going to post every day. Maybe just start one video a week to get going. That could be a consistent, achievable goal. And then just make sure every video you do, you're improving something about it each time. And I think that's how you take these big goals and break them down into really achievable chunks to get started, because the truth of the matter is if you don't even get started, you're never going to get to 1,000 subscribers. But if you can get to 1,000 subscribers, that momentum is going to carry you through, and you might be surprised at how things start to steamroll after that.
Now, okay, so you mentioned a topic that I think is a little bit controversial when it comes to social media, which is consistency. There are a lot of people that have a love-hate relationship with consistency. I'm one of those people. So when you say you have to be consistent, can you define that? What does being consistent mean?
Like I said, you need to, I'm not saying like post every day, because I know there are these social media experts out there. They're like, if you're not posting 5 times a day, like, no. That's not what I'm saying at all. I think actually that advice is kind of BS. You don't want to just post for the sake of posting. You do want to post valuable content that, the audience you're attracting is resonating with. But there is some level of consistency that has to be achieved. Otherwise, like, people will stop showing up. And that is kind of how the social media algorithms and audience behave. So I'm just saying, like, get started, pick an achievable goal. Like if you're going to do a long form video once a week, sometimes, and this is something Shane really recommends, is set like a 30-day challenge for yourself where you're like, okay, I am going to do 30 days where I'm going to make a video and publish it every day for 30 days. And the point of that challenge isn't so much to get the following, but to build the skill of making videos. Your video after day 30 is going to be way better than the video on day 1, right? So that advice like that is like, you need to build the skill and go through the process of what does it take to make a video and make a good video. Like, you just kind of have to show up consistently to build that skill. And once you have the skill, the chances are that you do make a good video are going to be higher, and a video that people resonate with. So yeah, you want to set an achievable consistency, and then show up for that. But that doesn't necessarily mean like, post 5 times a day just for the sake of posting. That's not what I mean by that. But there's some level of consistency that has to be achieved.
Okay, I'm gonna throw out one super last random question to you guys. And this is something that I've been thinking a lot lately, which is, do you guys, how would I phrase this? Would you guys consider YouTube a social media platform?
Yes, for sure. Definitely is.
What about
it's a bit broader than that,
I think
but
so.
it's
Like,
definitely social media.
Like, to me, okay, I'm asking this because to me there's one big difference between YouTube and everything else, whether it's Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, which is that to me YouTube is literally like a search engine, which is why I really like to differentiate YouTube from everything else, because there's a lot of potential organic traffic that you can gain from YouTube that is typically almost impossible to capture on social media. Like, I feel like on social media, and I'm not saying that you're obviously exposed to YouTube's algorithm as well, and who knows if YouTube is going to promote your video and why will it and why will it not? Nobody really knows, right? I mean, it's kind of it really is a game. But I feel like there's a higher chance of building up an audience on YouTube than on any other platform out there. If you want to build up an audience, maybe on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. TikTok's actually quite a surprising one. I actually really like TikTok algorithm, but it is, to me, YouTube is like a different kind of animal in it of itself. Which is why I really like encouraging YouTube over anything else, because to me, YouTube it's a different type of content. It really allows content creators to really expose themselves as authority figures in terms of, okay, you're an expert at yoga. You've got 10, you can actually ask for 10 minutes worth of people's time to let them know why you're an expert, right? On each of your videos. Whereas on Instagram or Facebook or TikTok, you have a minute. If you're lucky, maybe you've got like 10 seconds. But yeah, I mean, it's still a social media platform in it of itself. Number one, you don't own your business, right? You're under YouTube's authority. If they want to kick you out, you're out, and there's not really much of a say that you have in the matter. But I do consider it to be a different animal.
I guess that's why I find it more valuable, though, is like it is a search engine, so it's got all of that value behind it that, people can actually make Google searches or search on YouTube and find your video where they can't necessarily do that on the other platforms. It has, I wouldn't say, like, the worst thing about YouTube tends to be the comment sections. So that's not really like the best engagement platform with your audience. So I guess that's one of its downsides. But if you can make an audience on YouTube, it's a much more valuable audience, because they're people that are willing to sit down with you for long stretches of time, really get to know you, and then I guess from a monetization standpoint, like when you do promote your products, people are probably going to be more receptive in converting on those offers. Whereas on these other platforms, it feels to me like people are a bit more goldfish, short-term memory vibes. Like they're not, it's just a different animal in terms of like the audience you're attracting and what their attention span is, what their level of engagement will be. I guess for those reasons, it's another reason why I like YouTube better, is because that audience feels more valuable than so maybe if I had to just visualize this, could you say in most niches, like 1,000 subscribers on YouTube are more valuable than 10,000 followers on Instagram? Maybe you could make that argument in terms of the value of a following on a particular platform. I don't know if that's,
I have to agree.
Absolutely true or not, but that's kind of my gut feeling about it.
Yeah, I think I would agree that YouTube is probably a little more valuable than the other platforms. I still think of it as a social media platform because you can acquire followers, and because it does have a feed where people, when they first log on to YouTube, they get a feed just like you do on Instagram or Facebook. But yeah, I think the value in YouTube is that it is a search engine, and I feel like once you create content on YouTube, it has a much longer life than it does on any of the other platforms, which is great.
So,
Yeah,
gotcha.
I think that's true.
All right, to wrap it up, because I don't want to take off too much time from people. I think we haven't really touched on one of the most important topics, which is how would you go about to actually growing an audience, whether it's on YouTube, Instagram, or anywhere else. And, putting ourselves a cap of like 2 minutes to answer this question, which is kind of really complicated to do, but I'm going to chip in first, which is, I think that on whether you're creating content on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, or you name it, there's like 2 to 3 different types of content types that you need to be creating. There's one that's, content that you can use to showcase your knowledge, showcase yourself, position yourself as an authority figure, while you're having fun doing it. And that, that can be just as simple as you talking into the camera, just, not doing anything fun. And then there are often times where you're going to have to do a little bit of research in terms of, okay, what is my audience looking for? Because if you're just creating content on YouTube, but you're not gaining any following, or you're not getting any views, or you're not actually growing, then maybe you should also start asking yourself, okay, why am I not getting any views? Well, maybe you're not creating the type of content that your audience is looking for. So there's a little bit of, research and SEO plays a little bit of importance and a little bit of a key role here. You do need to be aware of what your audience is looking for. We have created content here that's not necessarily about Thrive themes maybe, but we do understand what WordPress users are looking for example. So you need to be wary of what your audience wants to consume, and you need to give it to them sometimes. So how do you grow an audience on YouTube? Well, do research. What are people in your niche looking for? How do you grow your audience on Instagram or Facebook? Well, kind of like the same way. I feel like social media, like I have a love-hate relationship with social media. I think for most entrepreneurs that are just starting out as small businesses, it's probably not worth it, in my opinion. I just feel like most people end up burning out, getting burned out, and they don't really get anything out of it. You're not going to get money out of social media per se, and when you're trying to start out a business, what you really want to do is make money, right? And how do you get money? It's probably not with an Instagram account. It's probably not with a Facebook account. Probably not even with a YouTube account. It's probably with whatever products or services you're selling. Now, can you use social media as a means to an end to sell those products and services? Yes, but you kind of like how Christina and Matt covered. You have to be strategic about it and understand that you have to go in with realistic expectations as well. So yeah, that's my 2 cents. Christine, what do you think?
So I think if you want to grow an audience as quick as possible, think about your own strengths. Not everyone is ready to jump on camera and just start talking, and that's totally fine. If that's you, then maybe Instagram might be more your thing. And after a while, because Instagram, they are actually pushing out video, it seems more, then you can start doing, little bits of video. And a great way to start is by doing Instagram lives, because those disappear. And then you don't really have to worry. Like, even if you're a little bit embarrassed when you first start out, it goes away. So, when you're ready, then you can post a video to your feed. And, as you build up your skills, then you can start branching out into other types of social media. So I would say start where you're most comfortable. And even if you kind of feel like, well, maybe that platform isn't quite, where my niche really is, maybe that's a good thing. If, more influencers in your niche are on YouTube, maybe you can be the influencer in your niche on Instagram. The other thing I would say is, if you want to really gain a following fast, see what other people in your niche are doing, see what your competition's doing, and think about how you can create content that's better, or how you can create content that lends more toward your own personal skills. So let's say you have a lot of experience in video editing, then you can create like a really great edited video and post that on YouTube. So it really kind of depends on, I would say, your own skills. It kind of depends on what everyone else is doing, and you want to see if you can create something a little bit better that people are really going to like and share. Those are my 2 cents.
Nice. But I like how you mentioned competition. That's actually something that we see all the time on social media, right? Which is that someone does something unique and creative, and that everyone else copies that one thing that one person did, right? Or that one company did. And some of those copycats do really well copying that one idea. Sometimes copying is not a bad thing. It smells like you got to be smart about copycatting. In my opinion, it's a double-edged sword. You need to know how to do it, and you need to make sure that you're adding your own little touch of authenticity and personality. Otherwise, it's just going to smell fizzy. What about you, Matt? What do you think?
Well, one thing I just wanted to first add to what Christine said that I learned from you guys' last conversation, because what Christine had talked about, how she had a YouTube video go viral because she did something in her niche that she saw other niches doing. So maybe that's something to add is, maybe your direct competitors aren't doing something, but if you look for inspiration from a different niche, you could get an idea to bring it to yours and it could take off. So that's something I learned from Christine that I thought was pretty cool. I guess what I would say, let's say you've decided to do video, and more than likely in today's day and age, like you need to build some kind of video skill to build a social media presence or build your brand on a social media platform. One thing I like to do is, just look at your own social media feed, not even in your niche, but in other hobbies and things you're super interested in, and see what they're doing. Why do you follow these people? This is what I like to do. I'm like, why am I following this person? If it's an email newsletter I'm following, and I'm like, all right, I open this person's email every time. Why is that? What makes their content valuable and engaging? When this person posts a video, like as soon as it comes in my feed, I'm watching it. Like, what is it about this person's YouTube feed? What is it about their videos that I just can't resist? That's the special sauce you have to figure out how to create in your own content. And it's not going to be copycatting. I think there is some value to what Tony's saying around what I like to call steal like an artist. So you're not like everybody's drawing inspiration from everybody else. Like that's just the nature of the beast. And that's not necessarily copywriting. That's just people getting inspired by other people's work. But yeah, like you're only going to have those creative impulses if you are actually making content and actually building the skill and actually putting yourself in places to think creatively and understanding like, okay, what are the topics people are discussing in my industry or niche? Like you just kind of have to immerse yourself in that way of thinking. But I think one thing that can really help is like go through your own social media feeds and look at the people that you follow and draw inspiration from them in terms of like, what is it about how they've developed their own unique voice, how they present content, how they're doing their videos that engages me, and use that as kind of the special sauce to bring to your own audience. So I guess that would be my hopefully 2-minute final thoughts on that.
I promise this is the last question. It just came up to my mind. Is there a particular niche or are there particular spaces where you think that social media is crucial and that you can't go without actually having a social media presence?
Well, I think being an infopreneur, for sure, you need to be on social media. Mostly because all of the other infopreneurs that I know of are only through social media.
So this is people building online courses and memberships and stuff like that. Yeah.
Exactly.
All right, think outside the marketing world and outside the business world. Like, I'll give you guys an example. For example, my partner, she's a dancer. And I feel like she could not go without Instagram. She uses Instagram somewhat like a portfolio, where she actually gets a lot of job offers from all of the videos that she has dancing. And I feel like in today's day and age, it would be very, very, very hard for any kind of artist to go without an Instagram profile, for example. Like, I really feel like it's like a 21st century portfolio.
I think that's a good point. And it definitely helps you get your artwork, whatever that is, whether it's like performance arts or fine art, discovered. I'll just say, well, my wife runs a yoga studio, has a yoga business, and definitely her Instagram account just helps give her own business a boost. And even, I guess, so my wife and I also do acro yoga or acrobatics, and we just had a video go viral totally organically. It just picked up and went like crazy. And So, but you know, the thing is, the thing I'll say about that is like, we didn't plan it. We didn't try to do anything like to make it go viral. We were just doing what we always did, and something about the way we make our videos kind of struck. We had our dog.
Be honest.
We had our dog in it.
It was
well, yeah, that helped. Like, that's the growth hack. That's a growth hack. Yeah.
If you
That
need
should
to
be
get
the
something out of this
SPCA's, like,
podcast,
selling point. But there were a few
put
things.
a dog on your video.
We were having fun. You know, we're like a couple hanging out together, and our dog's like totally lifeless while all this crazy stuff's going on. He's just like sleeping, and something about that, you know, took off. But it wasn't because we staged it. It was because, you know, this is just how we make our videos. And so I don't know. I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, you gotta find your unique voice or way of creating content, you know, and you only do that by throwing yourself in the mix and actually building the skill and trying. Yeah, now I feel like I'm rambling, but you know, just
so how
get
viral?
started.
Try to
build
how
the
viral
skill,
did it
try to
go?
improve. It went. It's like above 1.2 million views. It's an Instagram reel, which is pretty crazy. And then talk about going from like 1,000 followers to 10,000 followers just from one video, like in the span of a week. So that feels a little bit more like a lottery thing. Like, there's nothing necessarily strategic I can lend other than we've just been making videos and our authentic style hit. But, you know, I guess in that sense, you'd be surprised at what can happen when you're actually, you know, staying consistent and making your own sort of unique content. So.
All right, so there you have it. The Audience from Scratch course that Tony mentioned will be linked below. It is one of our premium courses. So many students have gotten results from that course, and I highly encourage you to check it out. Now, if you're new here, I'd like to let you know about some tools to help you get your business and your website up and running quickly. Thrive Architect is our page builder for creating landing pages, thank you pages, sales pages, and more. Thrive Leads is our tool for putting email opt-ins on your website. Thrive Apprentice is our tool for building online courses and membership programs right on your own WordPress website. We also have a quiz building tool and several others. And you can get all of our tools by purchasing Thrive Suite. Links to everything I've just mentioned will be down in the description box, and please let us know in the comments if you have any thoughts or questions for us about social media, or if you have questions that you want us to answer in a future video. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.